All right, to watch this video for Wednesday, February 7th. You can see the SPY here. It gapped down today and then just ripped. It didn't happen all at once, but huge bounce in the market, which again, I said the market needs to come in and then expect we'll find some equilibrium. It's pretty weird out there because I think the market opened up. I'm guessing, so don't email me and say I'm way off, but I thought somebody said it was like the Dow was down like 500 at the open, and we ended up with the Dow plus 500 or something. So just a crazy day. I kind of want things to settle down. Most people say, oh, swing, or not swing traders, day traders need this kind of volatility. I'll tell you what, I had a nice steady equity curve when the market was doing this all this time. I mean, going back a long time. When the market does this, I actually get a little bit nervous. I don't need those big swings. I just need A plus setups. And having said that, I actually had a red day today. It's my third red day since Halloween. And I'm going to actually, I told everyone in chat, hey, I'll show you tomorrow what I did wrong because I think there's a good lesson there. And you know what? I'm just going to put it in this video so anyone who cares about my mistake today maybe can learn from it and shoot me an email if you have any questions. So before I go into the watch list, I'm going to share my blunder trade with you today. So DGLY, and I wasn't even in a room when news came out, right? So I came back to the room. I was out making a smoothie or whatever I was doing, and I came back and I said, hey guys, what was the news in DGLY? This is massive volume. It's generally a kind of a runner at times. It's a low float stock, but I've always traded this thing terribly. And somebody said they contract with NASCAR or something. So that sounds good. Certainly massive volume. Huge run from 220 to 310, right? Actually to 320. And I didn't chase it. Of course, we teach not to chase. But I did absolutely break a rule. And before I even show you what I did, let me slide this over. So this is what I lost in DGLY today. I ended up the day down $797 on the day. So, and which is, the nice thing about it is I'm $797 off of my highs for the year, right? Because it's a good way to look at it for me. Because it's my first red day in a while. And again, I just hit new highs for the year yesterday. So, and I didn't have a bad day if you take this out of it. So anyway, I think there's a good lesson here. So I'm going to share with you what I did. So you had this big pop. It's pulling in on lower volume. So it becomes interesting to me. It comes down a little bit more. And I say to myself, you know what? Generally, when something comes in after a big pop and a low float, runner on verifiable news or whatever, generally these things are going to turn back up somewhere around between the 20 and the 8 moving average. I use the EMAs on 5-minute candles. This is generally, you hear me refer to it as the buy zone. So this is generally the area that I look to get long for the first bounce, okay? So what I did, and here's a mistake I made. I mean, certainly this makes sense to be bidding anywhere in here. I don't regret that I was bidding in here. But what I did was I bid some at 260. I bid a little bit more at 255, and I bid a bigger chunk at 250. My thinking was, it's gonna, if nothing else, it's gonna bounce off the 520. So if I get filled, I start a position here, and then get bigger and get bigger. My orders were already in, and then then I've got an average somewhere right about here. And so if I get a bounce even up to 270 or 280, I've got a nice trade. But I didn't really do any math, and that's the problem. So what happens, and I'll slide this over. So I get filled some here, and I think, well, I got a partial fill, and it's going to reverse higher, and I'm going to make a few bucks. And then I get filled more, and then that big chunk right there. So without doing the math, I look and I realize I've got 8,500 shares. This is way more than I would ever buy of DGLY on a pullback, right? Because DGLY's kind of got a reputation. It's got bad memory. I have bad memories of this thing anyway. I almost never trade it well, but I thought, okay, NASCAR news, and I'm buying the pullback after big volume on a lower volume pullback without any regard to the fact that it's DGLY. That's the one element to this equation I left out. So 8,500 shares, something like that anyway. I don't know exactly, but it was something like that. And then it goes down here, and then down here, and I had to hit out, right? I mean, I almost hit out here, but I thought I'm going to give this. It hasn't triggered on a 5-minute buy setup since it was 320, right? So I'm thinking if we get a 5-minute trigger, maybe I can at least get a little bounce and minimize my damage. So then it puts in this little narrow 5 and does this, and I hit completely out. And again, I showed you showed you the result. So anyway, a decent day without that. But the lesson here, again, this doesn't make it's not a bad trade to be bidding here. But I should have bid here, a couple thousand shares. Worst case, if I lose a dime, I lose $200. I still would have had a decent day. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you because that was just a blunder of mine, and I was so proud of myself at the open. Even though you look at a lot of stocks I was watching, like SPY and Apple, and some of these other stocks that had huge bounces. I think CarMax was on there. They all, gapped down and then just ran from the open, especially this Apple. But I didn't find a way in. I'll show you a 5-minute Apple, right? So it opens here, and in the opening 5 minutes, it's already run $2 or $3, and I just can't. I'm not going to chase it. So it just kept running. Actually, Wayne called it. It put in an early high of 161. Then a lower high. Wayne called it over 161 and identified a nice seller there. So triggered right over 161 there and went up to almost 164. So really nice call. And again, if you study our Inflection Points webinars, we try to call stuff that you're going to be green right away. And then Wayne did a great job of that, right? I mean, from this point, it just took off. So even though you could have had a much lower entry, for me and for Wayne and what we teach in our course, the trick is being green right away. So having the patience, that's a great call by Wayne right there. Great call. Anyway, let's go back to the SPY real quick. So even though the market gapped down, I was real proud of myself because I didn't jump in anything at the open. And I said, guys, in the pre-market, I said, this is unprecedented. Nobody who's sitting at their screens this morning before the market opens has ever seen this, right? And I don't just mean the big slap down in the SPY, but I mean those short volatility ETFs, right? Your SVXY. These aren't misprints, right? They closed at 70 and then got halted, and then when they finally broke the halt, it opens at $11 and ends up making it or opens at $11.70 and makes it to $12.24. So these all got killed in after hours yesterday. This SVXY and XIV, and I talked about it in the video last night. And since these, I had no idea. They're tied into the VIX and they were halted at the open. I've never seen anything like this. I've been trading probably close to 2 decades, and I've never seen anything like it. I've been through, market crashes and all kinds of crazy stuff. But I just told everybody I cannot get involved at the open. And so I missed a big move, in the SPY and a big move in Apple had I gotten long at the open. But for me, buying at the open is never a viable strategy anyway. I have to have a setup. So I stuck to my guns. I followed my rules. So I don't have any regrets because you know what, I'm going to trade again tomorrow, and I'm going to trade the next day and the next day and so on, and I'll be trading every day with the exception of vacation, right? So I don't care that I missed the bottom today after that gap down in the SPY, or short-term bottom, long-term, whatever it is. I'm still proud of myself for sitting on my hands at the open. Having said that, I'm not very proud of myself for that DGLY blunder. So anyway, let's go into the watch list. So Bitcoin finally got a bit of a bounce today, and some of the stocks that used to move with it got a bit of a bounce. These little extra spike here in NETE. On an intraday basis, you can really see that the massive volume pulled back and another push. So I want to watch it. I'm not in love. The daily chart still, almost everybody's underwater, so certainly not in love with it, but it goes on watch. RDFN, really nice call by Wayne again here on this one. Earlier he called it, but it didn't get going, and then it did this, and then it took off, which is aggravating. But Wayne called it on this pullback in the 2085 area, worst case stop, I think 2060, and we got a nice bounce from this area right in here. So this is buying the first pullback after a really nice move, very clean setup, and obviously a much better stock than DGLY, and a nice finish on that one. Anyway. This one, such a strong bounce. It's extended. Hate to even have it on watch tomorrow, but it goes back on watch tomorrow. It did hold that support. Been watching this one for a while for a bounce. Certainly got it today. SNAP, nothing too compelling about this daily chart, but in after hours, they had earnings. This thing's trading closed out. All right, I guess after hours, it's still open. It's trading at 17.14, so trading all the way up here. So certainly worth watching. It's a potential gap and go tomorrow. We'll see what it looks like at the open. NQ, I guess they had a Seeking Alpha article, all kinds of accusations about this company, and I didn't read the article, and I don't care. I'm just this is if anything is deemed BS in the article, or the company comes out and refutes any of it tomorrow, that is a huge candle. So it just goes on potential snapback bounce watch. I'm not gonna marry the idea of trading this thing. I probably won't trade it, but it might give a setup. All right, NQ. ExxonMobil still closed a little bit below its open. Didn't quite get down to that 76 area where I wanted it. I might have taken that with size down there. But it goes back on bounce watch today. Big range today. You see the big candle. Goes on bounce watch tomorrow. This thing was 89 bucks just a few sessions ago. Certainly worth watching. GSUM. This one's a little obscure, but it was a really strong stock back here. And then, right about here, and you had this spot, and then the chaos hit. And so you got, another flush down like a lot of these other stocks. Switching to 15-minute candles here. I don't know. It's really interesting over today's high, over 1160. They might get busy back into this one. Again, this is based on the fact that it was so strong going into the SPY getting hit. So a nice recovery today, but I'll tell you what, a lot of charts look like this, so I'm not in love with this one either. But GSU seems to have a lot of people watching it. And then lastly, I've been trading this one lately, RVLT. Held that buy zone between the 8 and the 20, and a fairly strong close, and some nice strength in it lately. Relative strength especially too. This the first day of that massive SPY push down. This was RVLT, so this thing's got pretty good relative strength. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. Not a big list, and hopefully we'll find some gappers in the morning to trade. I'm a little more comfortable trading tomorrow than I was today with the SPY coming into today looking like this, and again with those short volatility ETNs or whatever those things are called. Like I said, I'd never seen it before. That's, you could argue, is a little bit behind us now. At least they opened and are trading, and condolences honestly to anybody that got stuck in those. There's a good lesson there though. I mean, if you don't know what you're trading, especially if you're holding it overnight, you should really reevaluate what you're doing. I don't hold anything overnight, so I was exempt from getting burned in those things, but I still feel terrible. I've seen some horror stories out there about people that just lost a ton on it. And it's always sad. I always say you're not really a professional trader until you've had your ass handed to you a couple times. And I know some traders that fell in love with Bitcoin and in the early going, and and just thought they were and Bitcoin was invincible. And I kept thinking, you're never going to trade for a living until Bitcoin hands you your ass, and it's done that now. And so that's one of the sad but necessary ingredients to becoming a professional trader. And it's having my ass handed to me many times over the past is why I'm such a careful trader now. And it's why my equity curve looks like it does, DGLY notwithstanding. All right, have a great night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.